Dean Potter. The very mention of his name conjures images of vast, vertical landscapes and a man who wasn't afraid of anything. To understand the heart of this maverick's existence, one must journey through the tapestry of his life. Potter was not just a climber, he was an innovator, an artist whose medium was the impossible. Born in 1972, Potter's affinity with climbing took root in New Hampshire, where he would conquer the cliffs of Rumney with the same intention that would define his life. With every rock face, with every crevice, and with every summit, he built the foundation of a legend that would stretch to the furthest reaches of the climbing world. Yosemite National Park, with its sheer cliffs and rugged beauty, became the stage for his most awe-inspiring performances. The nose of El Capitan, a sheer cliff face that has been the doom of many ambitions, became Potter's playground. Here, he redefined the essence of speed climbing. With an almost supernatural ability to read the rock, he would set speed records that left the climbing community in disbelief. But it wasn't just the records, it was the way he shattered them, with a style so fluid and so fearless that it seemed as if he and the rock were one at times. Potter's climbs were punctuated by a philosophy that one could only term as spiritual. He sought not just to ascend, but to become one with the climb. It was an intimacy that extended beyond the physicality of the sport into a realm where Potter could taste the very soul of the mountain. With Timmy O'Neill and the late Sean Stanley Leary, he accomplished what many thought unthinkable, linking Yosemite's Titans, Half Dome, Mount Watkins, and El Capitan in a single day. It was an act not just of physical prowess, but of sheer, indomitable will. In the vertical wilderness, Potter's milestones multiplied. Soloing both Half Dome and El Capitan in under 24 hours, he left his mark, defining what future generations would strive to achieve. His name became etched in the record books of Yosemite, synonymous with the purity of solo ascents and the relentless pursuit of climbing in its most unadulterated form. Potter's reach extended far beyond Yosemite. The desert towers of Moab, Utah, witnessed the birth of climbs that were before unimaginable. Here, he conjured routes where none dared to imagine, turning sheer rock into a series of challenges that he met with an elegance that bordered on the sublime. But it wasn't just the climbs that fed Potter's insatiable appetite for the extreme. His foray into the realm of highlining, a tightrope walk across abysses that would make even the eagles consider their flight paths, added another layer to his legend. Potter trod these lines with a meditative calm that belied the chaos of the empty space below, finding in the void a place of profound peace. The sky called to him too, and wingsuit flying became the next frontier. Here, Potter truly soared, both literally and metaphorically. The north face of the Eiger, a monolith of mythic proportions, bore witness to his record-breaking flight, a journey across the sky that stretched over 4.7 miles of open air. This was no mere stunt, it was a declaration, a testament to human potential when unshackled from the earth. Despite the accolades and the global renown, Potter remained a figure of polarity. His climb of Delicate Arch in Arches National Park sparked a furor that cost him sponsorships and drew the ire of the environmental and climbing communities. Yet, even amidst the controversy, Potter's commitment to his craft remained unwavering, his belief in the rightness of his path unshaken. As we step back to look at Potter's life, we find a narrative studded with moments that stand as monuments to human endeavor. Each climb, each flight, each highline walk was a chapter in a life lived at the zenith of human experience. But to truly understand the man behind the myth, we must turn to that fateful May evening, when the sky above Yosemite was the final story. Dean Potter, and he took flight one last time into the narrative of history. In the golden hour of a May evening in 2015, the tranquil beauty of Yosemite Valley was the backdrop for a wingsuit flight that would forever be etched in the history of extreme sports. This was the domain of Dean Potter, a man who had pushed the boundaries of what we thought humanly possible. Alongside him was Graham Hunt. Taft Point was the chosen departure lounge for their aerial odyssey. The two men, clad in wingsuits, stood as silhouettes against the setting sun, contemplating the valley that had been both a friend and an arena. As they prepared for the leap, there was no talk of fear, only the silent acknowledgement of the risk inherent in the pursuit of pure freedom. The jump was to be a dance in the sky, a duel with the wind where every twist, turn, and glide was planned with precision. Potter and Hunt, in close succession, leapt into the void, their wingsuits the only barrier between them and the yawning chasm of air. The valley, a witness to countless such flights, held its breath as the pair coursed through its airspace. The flight was a testament to Dean's spirit, a man who had flown from the Eiger's formidable north face and walked lines suspended over oblivion. This evening, the valley that had so often echoed with the sound of his triumphs was silent, a quiet anticipation hanging as heavy as the mountain mist. The plan was simple yet audacious. Navigate the treacherous drafts and eddies, skirt the rock faces that rose like the spines of some slumbering beast, and deploy their parachutes to land with the grace of falcons. The valley had been the scene of many such successful flights, but this time, fate had scripted a tragic twist. As the evening sky darkened, the expected sound of parachutes billowing open was conspicuously absent. Instead, there was a hush, a void that grew heavy with unspoken dread. The two men, each a master of their craft, had encountered an unforeseen adversary in the terrain they knew like the back of their hands. The rock wall, an immovable sentinel, claimed the lives of Potter and Hunt, their flight ending not with the gentle give of a parachute's embrace, but with the brutal finality of stone. Their bodies, unrecovered until the morning's light crept over the valley, lay as silent testimony to the razor-thin margin between daring and the unforgiving laws of physics. Potter, the man who had lived more in his 43 years than many could claim in a century, was gone. His name, which had become synonymous with the free spirit of climbing and flying, would now be whispered in reverence and in mourning. Hunt, 29, Potter's wingman in the sky, left behind a legacy of ascents and flights that marked him as an exceptional pilot of the vertical world. This tragedy was not just a loss of two lives, but a stark reminder of the fragile line that extreme athletes tread, a line between exultation and oblivion. As news of the accident spread, the world grappled with a mix of emotions, from the profound sorrow of loss to the acknowledgement of the inherent dangers of wingsuit flying. The echo of their departure had barely faded over Yosemite's granite cliffs when the world began to reckon with the profound void left by Dean Potter and Graham Hunt. Two paths had ended on that stark May night, but their imprints would forever shape the tapestry of extreme sports. Potter, standing tall at 6 feet 5 inches, was not just a man, but a legend. His soft-spoken intensity partnered by a life lived loudly on the edge. His journey was not merely one of ascents and flights, but of redefining the possible. His ethos became a blueprint for those who followed, daring to cast their gaze upward and inward. In the aftermath, stories of Potter's feats began to circulate, each a testament to his prowess and vision. He had, in a way that few could, fused his body and spirit with the raw elements of earth and air. His exploits, the speed records on the nose of El Capitan, the historic single-day links of Yosemite's monolithic walls, the pioneering climbs in the desert sands of Moab, were not just accomplishments, but stories that would inspire generations to come. His audacious invention of freebase, setting up free solo climbing with the safeguard of a parachute, epitomized a man who respected the risks but was not ruled by them. The image of Potter free soloing the deep blue sea route on the Eiger's north face, his body a mere speck against the immensity of stone and sky, would remain emblematic of his indomitable will. Even as the community grappled with the loss, the silver linings of Potter's life shone brightly. His record-setting wingsuit flight from the Eiger, his highline walks that seemed to suspend the very laws of physics, these were not ended, they were immortalized. Potter's life was a mosaic of such gravity-defying moments, each a brushstroke in a masterpiece of human potential. The controversy that had occasionally shadowed him, like his climb on Delicate Arch, or the polarizing film When Dogs Fly, could not diminish the scope of his influence. Instead, these episodes added depth to the portrait of a man who lived unapologetically at the frontier of adventure and controversy. The accident prompted a reflection on the very essence of risk and reward. In their pursuit of the sublime, Potter and Hunt had embraced a life where the stakes were the highest, and the margins for error were perilously thin. Their final flight did not define them. Rather, it underscored the bravery required to live and ultimately die in accordance with one's deepest callings. Yosemite Valley, which had been the stage for so many of their triumphs, became a place of pilgrimage. Climbers and flyers from across the globe came to pay homage, to stand on Taft Point, and to gaze into the depths that had cradled their hero's last flight. It was a sacred communion with the spirits of two men whose lives had been a celebration of the vertiginous joy found at the edge of the world. In death, as in life, Potter and Hunt left an indelible mark on the heart of the adventure community. The former, a colossus in the realm of extreme sports, left behind a legacy rich with innovation, daring, and a passion that defied gravity. The latter, a rising star cut from the same cloth, bequeathed a narrative of audacity and skill. Their stories would continue to be shared, not with a morbid fascination, but with reverence and the hope that their lives would serve as a beacon for those who dare to dream with their feet off the ground. The essence of their flight would remain a touchstone, a call to those who look skyward to embrace the boundless theater of the air and to live with the courage that Potter and Hunt exemplified to their final breath.